Today, I want to talk about why I think selling a mastermind is a terrible way to build $1 million business and what coaches should be doing instead in 2023 and beyond. And occasionally, or often, I would say in the online space, you notice trends, right? When things become really popular, with like obviously early days, Facebook ads, right? I was like, everyone should be running Facebook ads, and it was webinar funnels. And oftentimes, people that are experienced in the industry that have been around for a long time, they notice problems and then they come out, hopefully in an ethical way, come out and say, here is a solution. Now, of course, there are people out there that will just make up crap, slap a sticker on it, call it a method, call it a mechanism, and then try and say they've got the new best thing. But oftentimes there are real problems that as coaches, as consultants, especially people that are experts in the industry, that are considered to be the people that you look to for guidance, for advice, for where is this thing going in the future. They see problems and they try and bring solutions to those problems in the form of kind of new models and new methods. And one of the trends and one of the new models that I've been seeing talked about, implemented, that I think is a big mistake for most coaches is this whole idea of selling mastermind. So let's just talk about what this model is, why it doesn't work for most people, and what you should be doing instead. And if you and I are just meeting, my name is Dan Bolton. We run scalability.com. Do a couple of mil a year. And one of the things that I get to do on the back end, the behind the scenes of our business that most people don't talk about is outside of our core coaching program, I get to consult with 7, 8, I was going to say 9-figure, but that would be a full lie. 7 and 8-figure coaches and consultants that are leading this industry. And they'll pay me thousands of dollars an hour for me to sit and look at their acquisition strategies or their client success. All of that to say, I get to have an incredible insight in what's working and what's not across the industry. And it's a very, very fortunate place to be when I can look at these trends and rather than just my little pocket of our own business and our clients, which at this stage is we've worked with over 750 different clients. There's a lot of data points, but I can see beyond our little sphere into all the little pockets of the coaching and consulting industry to see the effects of these trends and whether or not they are moving people towards the businesses and the lives that they want or whether they're moving people away. So let me talk about this mastermind model and why I do not think it is the right move for most people. So if you imagine, for most of us, or at least for those of us that have been around for a couple of years, we would have come typically from a course model, meaning when we were coaching, we were either selling one-to-one or we were selling a course of some kind, right? The model that I was taught was like, you sell a course, it's lifetime access. And that's basically it. $6,000, right? There's a bunch of modules, and then there are support calls every single week. And obviously, the big downside of that model is the lifetime access piece. It's like, when does that end? When does the support end? And of course, for many of us, myself included for sure, we've sold things that further down the track, we're like, man, I don't want to sell this anymore, right? And I remember selling. For me, it was like an agency, how to start an agency course. And I loved it at the time, but it wasn't the long-term fit for me. And so I'd sold these people into lifetime access and support. And I had to keep providing access for support for a really long time because people had bought with the expectation that they were going to be able to jump on calls forever. And so that's a big problem. Right? And so into this kind of mastermind model that we're seeing is an improvement upon that course model. So let me explain. The mastermind model that I'm seeing being talked about is rather than giving people lifetime access to stuff, why don't we set them up on some kind of yearly subscription? So instead of paying 5, 7, 9, 10 grand forever, why don't we get them billed annually? And so they come in and it's a mastermind. Now there are some differences. It is not just a course, right? We come in, they come in as a community. The content is both a foundation that doesn't change and it's updated regularly in terms of the problems to solve and things like that. But the mastermind model is basically like supposed to solve, A, we don't give people lifetime access forever. There's a set period of time that they're buying into. And then B, we want to get recurring revenue. So this is the mastermind model, right? We come in, we sell something for 10 grand. It's a year. If people want to stick around beyond a year, they pay for another year and it's another 10 grand, 6 grand, whatever it might be. Now, in theory, this sounds amazing. And again, coming from a course model, this is absolutely an improvement, right? Because it's like, why would you just bill someone once, $6,000 for lifetime when you could bill them annually? Here are the problems that most people are not considering when they're going from not a course model, but a coaching model into this mastermind trend. Okay. So let's imagine you are Coach Jason, right? You're there and you are running a coaching program and you are helping restaurant owners get more clients. And right up until now, you have been charging $6,000 for 16 weeks, right? Let's just keep it a nice round number, 6,000, 16 weeks. And with your coaching program comes group calls, right? There's maybe some one-to-one support. Maybe you've got a client concierge or a client coach, and there's modules. Now, the end of that 16 weeks, problematically, right? They come to the end of the 16 weeks and they go, yeah, that was great, or it wasn't, right? And you say bye and they say bye, and then you have to go and find a new customer. Now, that is a problem as well, and I'm going to talk about the solution in a moment. But think about the change in model if you go from selling 16 weeks to selling a mastermind membership on an annual basis. Let's say you actually increase your price a little bit. Let's say you go to $8,000, but it is for the year. Think about this for a second. The hope is that at the end of that year, they're going to renew, right? Which means higher lifetime value. So I'm going to get to that in a second, but let's say that's the hope. In the first year, you have increased your price by 30%. I think it's like 30%, 25%, whatever the math is, from 6K to 8K. But you have increased the amount of support that you have to give this person by 8 months. Why don't you think about this for a second? Because one of two things is going to happen. Either the support that you've been giving the people at 16 weeks is all of a sudden going to be massively diminished across a year, which you guessed it is going to result in worse client results, lower client engagement, right? If you've been barely hanging on with the clients that you have, trying to give them all the energy and give them all the help that you possibly can, and even now only some of them are winning, stretch that across a year, dude. Like, what do you think is going to happen? The amount of support that you can give someone, even if you marginally increase your price, is going to be much lower because you're spreading out the amount of time that you've got to give people that level of support. The second thing is, if you continue to try and give higher levels of support across a longer period of time with only a marginal price increase, or in some cases, for many of you who I know have been trying this, no price increase, your profit margins are going to disappear, right? What's going to happen is you are being expected to deliver more to a client. In other words, rather than doing 4, 5, 6 months on the front end, you're now doing 12 months, and you now have less profit to enjoy because you're spending all of that money on team and your time trying to fulfill for these people. And so I'm seeing people take their 90-day, their 4-month, 5-month, 6-month front end and just turning it into an annual thing and saying, yeah, it's 10 grand, but instead of for 4 months, it's for the year. Massive value perception increase for the client, right? Good thing, but massive profit loss for the business owner, right? And if you don't take the profit loss, then what's going to happen is that ultimately you just can't give the support that they need. I'm hoping you're tracking. I'm hoping I'm not losing any of you. Basically, I'm seeing with this mastermind trend is you take a coaching program that was typically 6 months or under, 10 grand or under, and now we're keeping it same price or slightly increased and massively increasing the amount of time that we have to give people support. So either the support is going to be worse, right? Because you can't give as much of it because you can't afford to, or you try and give the same amount across that time frame, but now you have less profit to enjoy as the business owner. Now let's talk about problem number 2 as to why masterminds are typically a terrible advice for people looking to get to $1 million. The second thing is, what percentage, my voice disappeared there for a second. I'm so passionate about this. What percentage of people do you think at the end of a year are actually going to renew? No, just think about the number for a second. Because for most coaches that I work with, let's just talk about the average coach, because there are outliers, there are incredibly successful people that you might be saying right now, oh, but this mastermind model works for this person. And of course, right, there are top 1% coaches that they could charge $1,000 a month, $1,000 a day. They're going to find clients because they are perceived to be the best at what they do. There's always going to be a market to work with people like that. But for the average coach, most people I talk to struggle to retain, both from a payment standpoint, but also from an attention standpoint, their clients for the duration of their programs even now. So if you're a coach and you sign someone for 16 weeks, you might struggle to collect all the payments that you need for them to actually finish their payment schedule. That's problem number one. But problem number two is the actual attention and energy that you need to have someone to stay engaged in the program for that duration of time. Most coaches are struggling to do that even with the shorter time periods. So how in the world do you think you're going to keep that person engaged, attentive, excited, fully immersed in your world for double the amount of time, in some cases for triple the amount of time, in some cases quadruple the amount of time, and so much so that they actually want to pay the same amount of money to have another year? And this is where it's so problematic to me, is that in theory, selling a mastermind long-term, you renew annually, is one of the best ideas, right? You're taking something that in most cases you are selling a course that's lifetime access, or you're selling a 16-week program that at the end of it, people just say bye and they go on. And I agree. In theory, it's a massive improvement, but it's very problematic because A, you do not have the profit margins to sustain the level of support that clients are going to need over the long time period. And number two, most coaches that I know, and I say most as in the majority, as in most coaches that I come across that I work with, struggle to retain the energy, the attention of their clients for even 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it might be. And so simply tacking on another 6 months and making it 12 months, whatever it might be, is not a solution to that. In fact, it's going to make it harder. And in most cases, it's going to result in fewer than 10% renewals for the average coach. Again, there are going to be incredible coaches that say, 50% of people renew after the first year. That's amazing. Good on you. For most people, that is not going to be the reality. And so they're going to get to the end of that year and be like massively disappointed when people do not want to renew. Now, it's not all doom and gloom, and I'm not saying this doesn't work for anyone, and I'm not saying no one should try it and that this is a bad strategy, but what I am saying is that for most people who are thinking about transitioning from a group coaching program or a one-to-one coaching program into this mastermind model, they need to think through the pros and the massive cons, because if you do not think through these cons, they will come back to bite you in the butt. Now let's talk about the better model. This is something, I've got nothing to sell you here. So this is literally just a better model and a better way of doing things. So one of the things that we discovered this year when I took not 5 months out of the business, but we turned off marketing and sales. And so I stepped back completely from any kind of acquisition, and we just spent 5 months serving the clients we had. I was traveling the world with my family, and I was working between 8 to 12 hours a week. And one of the cool things about that was we were still over 100K a month during that time. Really lean team. Again, no marketing and sales, like no sales calls, no content to post, no emails, no ads, nothing. And we stayed over 100K a month just retaining clients using this strategy. We call it the Resale Rhythm. What we do is we have a time-bound promise-bound program, right? So people come in, they're going to work with us for, let's say, 16 weeks, right? Time-bound. Then there is a promise at the end of that, right? So we are going to get you to X, right? We're going to move you in the direction of 100K a month, an automated group, whatever it might be. So people know what they're buying. They're buying a mechanism. They're buying a new opportunity. They're coming in. And there are only so many things that you can do in that time period that relate to their progress. Even if someone comes in and crushes it, chances are there are still a number of different things that they're going to need support with. So for example, when we launched a product 2 years ago called the High Ticket Club, which we no longer sell, it was a coaching program to help coaches wake up on Monday with a calendar full of sales calls. So it was all acquisition based. And this is the problem we kept creating for clients. So we would solve the problem of not enough new clients. So it would help them get more calls, help them get more clients. And what would happen is around 20 to 30K a month, like clockwork, people would become really maxed out when it came to client delivery. They didn't have enough clients. Now they have more than enough clients, right? Too many clients, and they didn't have enough time. So the next problem we helped them solve was we helped them dial in their programs, right? And then hire a client success coach that could help them deliver that. Why am I sharing this with you? Because at the end of whatever your front end program is, whatever your core program is, right? 90 days, 4 months, 6 months, whatever it might be, there are going to be some things that you've helped them achieve, some problems you've helped them solve that have also opened up new problems to solve. And rather than creating a world where at the end of 16 weeks, whatever it is, you say bye, they say bye, and they go find a new coaching program and you go find a new client, you can resell them for a period of time where you continue to work together. Now, if you do what we do, we always continue to update our content so people always have things to look forward to. And everyone works with a one-to-one coach so that regardless of what's happening in the community as a whole with the support calls and the content, the one-to-one coach can tailor a lot of our experience of the experience we give the client to exactly what it is they need. And so we've had clients that have been with us for 2 years, 2.5 years. I was going to say 3 years, but I think 2.5 years is the max because that's when we started this particular offer. But we have retained people far and beyond the initial period that we got them to commit for. And even so, again, we turned off marketing and sales for 5 months and didn't have really any dip in revenue because we continue to resell people into new dreams, new visions, new goals, new problems to solve, and into renewed commitments with us. And this is by far the best way to get to $1 million and to stack recurring revenue. Listen, there is a huge trend saying that you should take a course, you should take a coaching program and make it 12 months, make it a mastermind and get people to renew. I'm just here to say it's not realistic in terms of being the best way for people to get to $1 million for most people. The better way to do it is to have one offer, make it time bound with a clear promise, and at the end of that time, or towards the end of that time, you resell people with a new vision, get clear on the next problems to solve, and then get a new time commitment. And if you keep this resell rhythm up, you'll not only stack recurring revenue, you'll be able to get to $1 million with fewer clients, much more ease, and you'll get off that kind of new client every single month hamster wheel. Like you might be able to come into a month, not even sign a new client, and continue to be in profit because you have so many clients continuing to pay you. So I'm hoping this makes sense. Listen, you might be in the mastermind realm, the mastermind world, and if it's working for you, pumped. That's amazing. For most people, I don't think that is the right way to get to $1 million, and I think there's a much easier way where you can still profit, clients get all of the support they need so they can get the results that you promised them, and you can do it in a way without, saying, hey, let's hope that they renew in 12 months. One offer, create a resale rhythm, help them solve new problems, and continue to work together for as long as they see value and as you see possibility. So hoping this video makes sense, and let me know if you have any questions. Clearly passionate about this one, see it as a big trend, wanted to kind of warn people as much as I could, but if you got any questions, let me know and I'll catch you in another video.